Welcome to Anna's Just Mercy Final Reflection. Today we're going to be comparing Just Mercy by Bryan Stevenson to the Hidden Brain podcast from their U 2.0 series called Fresh Starts. Today we're going to be focusing on how tragic events can change people's lives for the better, and I'm going to be starting with sharing 3 stories, 2 from the podcast and 1 from the book. The first story is about a man named Derek Amato, and he was in South Dakota visiting his family and friends, and he was playing football with one of his friends, and he was a little boy, and he was running to catch the football, and he caught it over the pool, and he was gonna catch the football and jump into the pool. Well, he jumped into the shallow end of the pool and hit the left side of his head on the bottom of the pool. And that's all he remembers. And what had happened is the left side of your head is where all your logic and things happen. So anything like math, anything that has patterns to it. And when he woke up, he discovered that he could play the piano flawlessly. He didn't know how he was playing the piano. He just could do it. Anyway, so Derek knew how to play the piano and he had no idea what had happened to him. And turns out he had acquired savant syndrome, which is a syndrome where people just automatically have like math skills, artistic skills, and they don't do anything. He couldn't play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star when he was asked on the podcast to play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. He had no idea how to, but he could play the wall, like color, like squares, and he knew what squares sounded like. So that is what happened to Derek. So he went from something horrible, tragic happening in his life, him falling, hurting his head, to something great that never could have happened because of it. The second story from the podcast is about a woman named Maya Shankar, and she was a violinist from a very young age. Her mother always wanted her to be a violinist, so Maya was very good at the violin. And one day, her mom said, "Let's go to Juilliard." So they walked into Juilliard, and they met a student on the elevator, and they said, "Can we play for your teacher?" And they said, "Sure." So they played for the teacher at Juilliard, and he said, "Oh my God, you're amazing." Then she got in with Isaac Perlman, which is a great, amazing violinist, and he taught her everything until one day, she was playing one day and she outstretched a muscle on her hand and she couldn't play with her strings anymore. So for a year, Isaac had her practice just on her bow hand. And then after a year, the doctors told her, "You can't play violin anymore, no more." So she went to college for behavioral science, and she ended up in 2015 being chosen by Barack Obama to be the senior advisor for social and behavioral sciences at the White House, working for Barack Obama. She has since moved on, and now she is Google's first head of behavioral insights at Google. So from her wanting to be a violinist her whole entire life, to then getting one injury, and now she's a behavioral head of so many things. And she helped with the SNAP from the Departure of Agriculture, which gave over 12.5 million students lunch, free lunch. How her story from being her as a violinist changed into being amazing for our country. Our third story is from Just Mercy, the book, from chapter 12, Mother, Mother. This chapter is about Marsha Colby, who was a woman with 6 kids, and shortly after Hurricane Ivan, she was living in her trailer park and she went into labor and she delivered a stillborn child. She buried in her yard outside, and her neighbor saw her and reported her to the police. So that's how her story begins. Bryan Stevenson, the author of the book, has a company called the Equal Justice Initiative, the EJI, which helped Marsha with her child. So she was sentenced life in prison in 2007, and in 2012, the EJI helped Marsha get out, and now she's an advocate for many other women going through the same thing. She's helping many other women, and other women going through this know that there's a way out. These are just some quotes that I have found listening to the podcast and just doing some research that I thought were really good for this. growth from subtraction. So when all of these people had bad things happen, now they all have grown to new levels and have different talents and different things to share with the world. Renewal from loss. They've all lost something in their lives and they all have a brand new life, are very, very fortunate. When one door closes, another door opens. This is like the same. They all have new lives and they're all helping people in the world. As for the chapter itself, Brian didn't have very many text features that were significant, but one thing I did notice was that he gave backstory for Marcia while he was also delivering facts and going in between those things at the same time to educate us while keeping us interested in her story. So here are a couple of the facts from Marcia's story. In the US, the number of women in prison increased by 646% between 1980 and 2010, a rate of increase about 1.5 times higher than the rate for men. Approximately 75 to 80% of women incarcerated are mothers with minor children. So he went back and forth for the inequality of the women in prisons back to Marcia's story, which is great because it educates us on the whole. I think that was more some of Brian's purpose, is to get us more into the legality side of things as well as seeing what Marcia's story in particular was going on. I think some overall things to take away from these experiences are, if you're at your lowest, you can make it out on the other side. All your tragic events in your life have reactions, and some of these outcomes are going to be good, some are going to be bad. Sometimes you maybe never will get out of whatever you are dealing with, but all of these cases ended up pretty well, so you just know that you can always get out the other side if you want to. Some of the ways I think that you can get out of your tragic situations, just remember that your life will go on and it will help you to help other people if you advocate for the right thing to happen, either legally or just in your personal life. Showing your newly found gifts or talents, whatever you feel your life is giving you from the situation, if you share that with others, I think there will be a lot of people that can relate to you and it will help you get through your tragic events, like how Derek got through his by now playing the piano to everyone. He doesn't know how it's happening, but he's helping. Marcia is being an advocate. Maya has great influence with her high status of her job. She's influencing many people to know that if her dreams were shattered, she can build a new dream, and maybe this is the way that it was always supposed to be. Brian has taught us that we can fight for our beliefs and injustices, advocate for yourself, and we never know other stories, so don't judge them. They can be trying to advocate for something that they truly believe in. And tragedy is not going to be the end of your world, so try to help others and it will help you. All these events and these changes happening to everyone are so significant. They produce new lives for people and they give those people suffering hope. They come out renewed and are understanding of the tragedy they're facing and are able to move on and maybe be even happier than they ever were before. That pretty much concludes how I think tragic events change lives for the better. And I'm going to leave you with a poem by Elizabeth Bishop called One Art. Read it if you'd like. I think it really relates to this subject, and I hope you like the video.